Hey everyone, I just finished reading this book, which I've been meaning to read for a few weeks now, well maybe a few months since my wife read it, so it was really good. The Lightless Sky. Now this is the story of a young Afghanistani boy, sorry if I used the incorrect phrase there, who left his home at the age of 12, was sent away by his mother along with his brother, was separated from his brother on the journey, and his horrifying, his arduous, his dangerous struggle to eventually arrive in the UK, where, arriving here with no English and with great trauma, like so many immigrants, he went on to do rowboat at school. He carried the Olympic torch for the UK, after which he received a whole host of abuse, of course, from ignorant British people. And I didn't say British people there, I said ignorant British people, who are thankfully a minority. Why should he do it? It should have gone to an English person. Well, because he applied, and I guess not many English people bothered applying. It's as simple as that. Fascinating book, true story, some statistics at the end. And this was written in 2015, so 6 years ago. About 10,000 people, men, women and children, are estimated to have drowned in the Mediterranean Sea trying to reach the UK. Why do people flee their countries? Because if they stay there, they'll die. And often these wars are the result of some policy that's been made by the West. So, do you want to be the person with all these refugees showing up on your doorstep? No. But they're going to happen anyway. So, if the policy of your country has caused a war which has led to this, I'm thinking now about the Afghan war started after 9/11, largely by Tony Blair, based, according to most consensus, upon lies, spin, as they so gladly call it. Isn't it funny how terrible that government seemed back then, and all the millions of lives that have been lost because of their lies? But they seem so much more confident, competent and preferable to the absolute fucking clowns now running the UK. You know who I'm talking about, Boris Johnson, Priti Patel. Don't care what you believe, don't care what you say, we're raking in the money, fuck you all. Anyone's an idiot to believe those people. So this book, yeah, fascinating. Some of the other statistics. There are now more displaced people, i.e. refugees fleeing conflict, wars, etc., in the world than at any time in recorded history. In fact, if they made up a nation, it would be the 24th largest nation on Earth. You learn about people smuggling in here and how that functions and everything, but really, it's a very moving, very touching story. And it's a 12-year-old boy, and you know, he talks about some people he saw on the way here. Fortunately, there are some good characters. And when I was reading this, my wife said, "Oh, it's not a happy story." That doesn't bother me, because life is not generally happy. Life is hard. It's not fucking Disneyland, you know. Sorry, I'm swearing a lot in this, but I'm speaking fast. Maybe I swear a lot more when I'm speaking fast. Fascinating book. I give it 10 out of 10. I think one of the things he writes at the end of this, one of the things the author writes at the end of this, is maybe someday somebody will read this and they'll say, "What's a refugee?" Because the refugee crisis will have been wiped out. I don't see that happening, because, you know, one of the problems is how people always want to buy the cheapest goods and the greatest variety of goods, and that leads to exploitation, that leads to wars, that leads to all kinds of things. Thankfully, we haven't got imperialist nations like the UK now going around ripping everything up and enslaving everybody, and then thinking, "Oh, you can have this land, you can have that land," and creating wars and ethnic cleansing that persists now, like some of the situations in the Middle East. The whole Arab Spring. I mean, this isn't a political talk, it's a talk about a book. I'll refer back to the book just to get it grounded again. The Lightless Sky, My Journey to Safety as a Child Refugee by Gulwali Passarlay with Nadine Gouri. And on the front it says An Extraordinary Man. That's by John Snow, who I think is a newsreader, I don't know. Let me read you the blurb from the back. So, from the Independent on Sunday, an actual real newspaper. And real newspaper is what I call papers that actually write about news and might write some element of truth based on facts or statistics. Unlike people like, well, let's not mention the Mail or the Express or the Sun or any of the other most popular newspapers in the UK. The Lightless Sky is a heart-rending read that illuminates the plight of unaccompanied minors forced to leave their homes and loved ones. Passarlay's fierce intelligence is apparent throughout the Independent on Sunday. Here's something by the big issue. A beautifully written portrayal of a frightened 12-year-old boy cherishing dimming memories of his family, spurred on by an almost supernatural kind of hope. It should be required reading in British schools. Big issue. My wife actually said the same thing. This should be required reading. As a reader, you want to hug the boy. As a call for Europe and Britain to do more for the world's refugees, the book is as powerful as the harrowing picture of the dead toddler on the beach. The Times. The dead toddler on the beach. That was famous back in 2012, 2015, when... Oh, at the same time that Britain was practicing the hostile environment. You know, I used to always be a Conservative voter. It used to be responsible to vote Conservative, economically responsible. Never really socially responsible, but economically responsible. Now, I mean, you may as well just vote for any old fucking clown. They can't be trusted. They don't give a damn about anybody. They're utterly incompetent. There was a good article I read today about how this would be a good time for Boris to step out of office and just go back to his career as an entertainer, because he's certainly not fit for office. Back to the book. I'm going to shut up now. It's a really good book. It's a really good read. I feel like I'm being too generous, but I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 anyway. I mean, I read fast. It took me... I started reading it yesterday, and it's 377 pages. 380 pages. Well worth the read. Thoroughly recommend it. If you do read it, I think you'll enjoy it. And if you don't, you haven't got any taste. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe you haven't. Okay. One last. The Lightless Sky, My Journey to Safety as a Child Refugee by Gulwali Passarlay. I'm going to put it back on the bookshelf now. Thoroughly recommend it.